Hey, good morning. Today we're going to see an interview in class. Yes, we're going to class, even though this morning walk here is my sunrise here in Phoenix. It's beautiful in even winter. John Erwin is going to be talking to us from Los Angeles. He is a recruiter, and he's going to give us some advice about what Robert Half Technology sees as beneficial traits in your resume and the job trends, what he thinks about code camps and becoming a software developer. And so he's going to give us some questions and answers about what makes a successful software developer when it comes to his perspective. So unfortunately, he's not too interested in hiring students. He's kind of looking more for experience. Well, yeah, but how do you get experience? And so he's going to give us the importance of how to find an internship. And internships are just like jobs. You should try to move for them if you have to, take a lower cut in pay if you need to, but make sure that you get an internship maybe once or even twice in your college career. So if you're serious about getting a good job, then an internship is probably going to be what he recommends. So anyway, I don't want to take all the words out of his mouth. Let's go and see what he says, and we'll check out the interview that he did with our class.
We are, I guess, a premier staffing resource. So we specialize in, at least I specialize in direct hire of all candidates. So in the technology space and creative space.
Hey, John, just to be clear then, so a lot of our students, when they think about applying to a place to work, they think that they're going to get hired by that place. But if they apply to your business, you're going to send them somewhere else, right?
Absolutely. I am a headhunter. So that is exactly what I do. I look for the passively seeking candidates. Now, I don't do a lot on the student side, which is unfortunate just because, being realistic, our clients are paying us a fee for producing top talent of, individuals that have anywhere from 1 to, 20 plus years of experience, right? So that's, in a nutshell, what I do. Again, talking a little bit, quick talking point about what goes on your resume. I highly recommend, you have your ROI based statements. I, developed software that, tax accounting software, whatever it might be, using C# or using Python, and make sure you put those keywords right back into your resume. So those pop when recruiters are doing Boolean searches, or an HR person is doing a Boolean search out there to look for you. That's where you're gonna stand out, and they're gonna at least get a chance to see the highlights of what you do.
Just to be clear then, when you're searching, you're looking at thousands to millions of resumes, and you're looking for things like Python, tax accounting, or keywords like fit exactly
Yeah,
what that
Jim, you're right.
employer is after.
You just want to make sure it's evident, within, 4 to 8 bullet points under each, job that you've done, that has some good, ROI based return on investment statements. And then, you can always put at the very bottom of the resume technical skills, which should line up with what's at the top. But again, you don't want to go too crazy and do data dumping on your resume either, because if you have it on your resume, be ready to talk about it.
Sure.
If you can't speak to it, oh man, nothing more awkward than, all right, so tell me about the data sets you're working on in SQL, and tell me about the queries that you're
We
capable
got a
of
question
writing.
here from Casey.
And you're
She says,
like,
"Hey, go back to that idea about
I
an
don't do
objective
that.
statement of."
Okay, well then don't
You
put it
mentioned
on
not to
there.
put them on the resume, but
Less is
she
more
says,
on
"Tell me
there.
what it is."
An objective statement is oftentimes when a person will put on their resume. For me, a great example would be 8 years of experience as a technical recruiter and vice president, looking for a company in sales and recruiting, something along those lines. You're putting an objective statement saying, this is who I am and this is what I'm looking for. I don't recommend putting that. They can clearly see you are a software developer, or, whatever throughout your titles. And then again, putting an objective statement in there will oftentimes, again, 50% of the time, that's a high number. I know, but they might look at that and say, that's not exactly what we're looking for. I will say it can help to a degree. Instead, I would put together a nice cover letter, when you're sending off your profile or your information. And say, this is what I'm looking for. I found, I saw this opening that you had, and I'm very attracted to it. I really like your company's, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. These are some things that some key takeaways I learned about your company. I'd love to put get my foot in the door somehow. And then they open up your resume. They say, all right, let's set up an interview with you. And then you go from there. A lot of people we're seeing out of college are going into coding schools. And to be frank, it doesn't really help. I'm just going to be very, very frank. There's so many kids, and I shouldn't say kids, but youngsters, or maybe not a youngster, maybe someone who's trying to get back into college and trying to get back into software development. It sounds like that's what all of you do. That it's really difficult.
Well,
It's
you were
very
talking about boot camps, right? Your boot
Yeah,
camp. You said the
yeah.
value is low.
I don't think the value is really there. I think a college degree, um, is a bachelor's in computer science is the ultimate. That if you are going to get kind of beat up on your educational background, and again, in development, there's a lot of if you talk to like an Elon Musk, say you don't need a college degree, you just need the actual work and the hard work, right? So I'm kind of agree with Elon Musk or people like that, but I also agree with no, it's best if you really do have the work experience mixed with a college degree. You're going to be so much more ahead of other folks because 50% of other companies are kind of making sure that you've gotten a degree, and that's still a very serious thing. People, and if
Okay.
you went, yeah,
So all of us here are in college. You're saying we're halfway there, but
yep,
honestly, you're not gonna pick anyone here because you're looking for 1 to 3 years experience, and we're not there
yep,
yet.
nobody's there yet, just yet, and this is the importance of an internship. Again, I uh, personally, I worked at a couple of different internships. I was in the creative advertising world when I graduated, and I didn't exactly go into the places I should have. And I would highly recommend if you've got a couple years left, like start now, even if you're doing a free internship, because I found most of the people that I knew that I graduated that got into the, Shy at Day or the Saatchi and Saatchi or the, really cool creative ad agencies full time when they were graduating had already done internships for a year or two, sometimes unpaid. A lot of times they are paid nowadays, especially for software engineers. They, depending on the company, they will pay you even if it's peanuts, but hey, that is better than nothing. And I would say even if it's free, if it's a good brand, if it's a good company, it is worth your time to get your chops, for 3 to 6 months at a time and work as hard as you can while you're in college. You don't have to be a broke college student forever, right? Just be broke, for the, everybody's paying their dues, right? Put as much work as you can in now, like
Yeah.
while
Hey,
while it's fresh.
how about this? So students taking student loans, and instead of doing that, they say, I'm going to go work at Starbucks for the summer instead of the internship, and they graduate with less debt, but they don't have the internship.
Bad
That's a bad
decision.
decision, isn't it?
I think if you can't do both, you need to take that internship and go figure out how to work off hours. I mean, the days of working a 40-hour week are gone. I mean, people think that there's this pipe dream that exists, and it's not. It gets harder. I mean, I'm working 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week sometimes, trying to just find talent because there's not enough. So that's something to be happy about too, is there's a lot of need for software engineers and IT. Everything developing and creative in that world is a hot button. So you're doing the right thing. You've already made the right decision by doing what you're doing. The next step is to make sure you get your foot in the door and keep your expectations to what they should be. I also think that relocating somewhere could be of huge value to you. I know a lot of people have parents or family or friends or people that are around them that are supportive in some way. But I recommend if you get a job that's in SoCal, you go get it. You know what I mean? You go, or even an internship, as long as of course, it's probably got to be paid if you're going to relocate yourself. But again, it's a very competitive world that's out there, and you need to put your best foot forward and be competitive to get to the next step. So and whether that's in Georgia, I mean, there's tons of places that have a good, not California, where about as expensive as it gets. Trust me on that one. In New York and a couple other places that are extremely expensive. But there's some great opportunities out there that are in Arizona, Vegas, Texas is just obviously a booming economy. You all see that right now. Highly recommend, if you can do it, go take an adventure, go get that and go have some fun for the first few years of your professional career, because you're going to be doing nothing but work for the rest of your life,
Right, that's
unless
wonderful. Hey, I got
yeah,
another one.
yeah.
So we talked about getting a degree, getting your internship. Don't go to boot camp. And then you said earlier in a conversation that sometimes certifications could count. So I know, like, if you're in
hmm
networking and IT, that certifications are great. But what about software development? I mean, Microsoft might offer you a cert, but is that something that attracts your attention?
to a degree, yeah. I would say there are cloud certifications that are highly sought after right now, especially Azure, AWS, DevOps, virtualization. Obviously, if you're in the DevOps world and you kind of are, systems infrastructure mixed with development person, absolutely, nothing wrong with it. But they can be expensive too, so you got to keep in mind, like, staying relevant. And again, I shouldn't beat up the boot camps so much, but if the boot camps don't correlate with a degree and experience, then I got a guy on my team who literally was a programmer and went to a boot camp, and he's a recruiter now. He'll never go into development probably ever in his life again. And once you're out, you're out. Like, software is not, it's not cookie cutter. It's not like, once you're in, you're in. If you get out, it can, a couple years of being away from a certain technology and you can be irrelevant. So you got to keep your chops up as well. Staying with the newest and latest and greatest, which, by the way, shameless plug, I would say, your React developers and Python developers are the most sought after in the world right now. The days of C++ and Java are dying. Not that they're dead, but they're moving to more of a Python, or even a serverless based development. A lot of again, DevOps is just a super hot button right now. I highly recommend, if you haven't, looking into that space. If you're a good developer and that you've got a natural knack to programming, try to be a little bit agnostic when it comes to your C# versus your Python. If you can know both, from a relational and non-relational databases background. I mean, there's just keep your options open now, and then fine tune to what you really enjoy developing. Because if you're going to develop for 40, 50 hours a week, you want it to be something that you enjoy. What your syntax preference is, I guess you could say.
All right. So React's a big name. Python. How about in the database world? We're talking about SQL all the time. How about
Yeah,
Mongo? Is
Mongo's
that
a
a
big
thing?
thing. Oh
Okay.
no, Mongo's awesome. Node, we call it, obviously we say the mean stack or the MERN stack. Angular's great, but I think React is better and more highly sought after. Just like PHP is great, but Python is more highly sought after because of the I guess you could say, just like the abilities that the language carries and how robust it is, and what you can do and accomplish with those algorithms tend to be much more massive and much more powerful or faster. But yeah, the JavaScript, Node.js is huge. MongoDB, PostgreSQL, I'd say, is a huge thing to continue to learn about. But there's like CouchDB, Cassandra, there's all sorts of no SQL databases that are great. That's what, if you're going to be an open stack person, you need to know those things and get as much hands-on experience with that as you can. If you're
Okay.
going to go.NET and go hard.NET.
Okay. Here's another one. So we're talking about web development all the time. Do you have a preference, or do you have much of a market for people that are specializing in, like, mobile apps? So if they're Android or iOS or cross-platform on those, or is that kind of a niche that doesn't really cross your desk very often?
We don't do as much on the mobile side. They will come here and there. I think more so now people are doing a bit of both. Like you handle there's the desktop application development, there's the web development, and there's the application that is mobile. The best developers that I talk with have both. Like they are not only developing, Python on their day to day, but they're also doing Qt development, which is a cross-platform for Android, iOS. I will say iOS is more highly sought after. Your Objective C's, your Swift tends to be very, very, very highly sought after. So if you like that, which again, mobile is not going anywhere; it's only getting more powerful. So, kudos to you. It is a little bit of a different world, and it is a little bit more niche.
Yeah. So the
And hopefully
vast
you can.
majority of people you're placing though are probably in web development.
I 100%, very much in the web development space. So again, what I was looking at some of the questions that you'd asked me, and obviously, yeah, Robert Half, we make money off of placing people. So if I find you $100,000 job, and I'm charging 20% to my client, it doesn't come out of your money. They actually pay that on top just to find a quality candidate. So yeah, recruiters do very, very well, but it's also really, really hard to find top quality candidates right now. And again, I would love to be that type of person that, yeah, I've been here 8 years. I have people just like all of you that I'm talking to now that 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, we will connect probably, and hopefully you remember me. And I can work on you as a passively seeking candidate that's looking for your next, employment opportunity. Now, if you do get some really good internships and you do get some maybe 1 year of experience or less, again, we can help you. It depends on where that internship is. We do get junior developer needs all the time. And those range probably between in California about 50 to 60,000 a year starting. And there's some I guess tricks to the trade, or things I would recommend to help you get there once you're post internship. Make sure you have a GitHub. Your code samples should be spot on. You should have a website that you've created that's, especially if you're more creative, you should have something that says, hey, this is about me, and here's some cool projects I worked on, and here's some awards I won, and have it really fun, and maybe a blog that connects to a blog or things that you find that are really interesting. So those are the things that are going to differentiate you between just the normal person, right? So you want to have that good looking resume, a GitHub, have an internship. And again, if you've got a couple years left, do it now. Start looking everywhere you can. And there might even be some remote internships because of what's going on due to COVID. And obviously we're on this Zoom call right now, right? I mean, it's crazy. I never thought we would have been at this, this part of our world right now, and but it is a good thing, to a degree. There's some blessing behind getting a chance to work remotely and having an integrated hybrid model of to work from home and work from online.
Yeah. So tell us what your crystal ball is then for downtown of any city. Is it going to be like half empty now, 3 years from now, because everyone's working remote and we're just not going to do the same thing we used to?
You don't want to know my opinion on any of this. I'm a fatalist, so I see the absolute worst part of things happening, but I think there's a lot of positivity behind that. It's just the real estate market's going to take a huge hit right now. I can promise you that within the next year to 2022, you're going to see some of the most devastation that we've ever seen, I think, since the Great Depression, to be honest. But that's not to scare you. Again, for developers, you're a little bit outside of that bubble. You know what I mean? Because your talents are always going to be needed, and that's a huge benefit. There are people that.
Are you predicting then that people are going back to work and they're not going to want to live in the suburbs and far away? They're going back to Silicon Valley. They're going back to Seattle.
I think they're leaving Silicon Valley.
Really? Okay.
I think it just depends. Again, there's going to be there's a shakeup that's already happening. It's already happened, and it's going to continue happening for a little bit. Obviously with this $1.9 trillion package that just got, which is one of the largest bailouts I think in U.S. history. This will help us for a while, and obviously as people who want to get vaccinated decide to get vaccinated goes up, and cases go down, I really do hope that we turn that corner and officially just this new norm isn't a new norm, and it gets back to at least some normalcy in the classroom and in the workspace and
Right.
things like that. So again, just be you know don't be down on your don't be down. Things are going to be great. It's just that we're gonna have some rough weather coming up, and I think the more you keep your head down and work hard, that's going to be a saving grace for a lot of people. You got to just figure out where to hustle where you can, invest in Bitcoin, right?
So, hey, those of you that are watching, you go ahead and stick in some questions before we're done here.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us your contacts there, John, where you got, you said you want to link in, we want to be able to connect with you because you're looking at some
Yeah.
customers here and once they're passively looking for jobs. So share with us if you could, how do we get in
So I'm
touch with
gonna
you?
put into the text into the group message right now. I'll put my LinkedIn. So that's my LinkedIn, and if you all want to connect with me, I have no problem connecting with y'all. And again, you can see what I post, or sometimes there will be some mutual connect. That's another thing too, is really social media wise, try to put yourself out there and really networking events, which I know are a little bit harder nowadays, but really, really important too. Like if you're a Python developer, you should be in a Python group that knows all the Python that happens in your area, right? Really, really important as well. So most booming cities for software jobs right now, in my opinion, and again, I can kind of look at the scorecard of Robert Half, right? All the top billers, all the top 300 people just like me, right? That are just, finding people jobs. And I can give you an idea of what states I see are the most up and coming in technology. And they always say invest where the cows go. That used to be an old saying, in real estate, where the cows are, you want to buy real estate there because they'll end up developing those places. Well, same thing, same concept with technology, in my opinion, that, you got your Austin, Fort Worth right now. Texas is going to be probably one of the biggest booms that we've ever seen in the United States. I would highly recommend that area. We are seeing a large Minneapolis, Minnesota is actually a pretty serious hub for, there's a lot of business that goes on there. I think that Boston, Massachusetts is a great area to get into. That's a lot of potential. Of course, California, because California's, got the seventh largest economy in the entire world, and we're only a state within the United States, so that's pretty amazing. And I'm think we're number 7. Don't quote me on that. I haven't researched that anytime soon, but we could have had a huge hit during COVID, so who knows? But yeah, that's how powerful California is. So, but again, cost of living up in NorCal is ridiculous. I think San Diego, if you can get to San Diego, which I'm in Orange County, San Diego's a great little diamond in the gem that hasn't fully expanded to where it will be in the next 10 years, I believe. I think you're sitting in a place, Arizona, Utah. Let's see. Yeah, I know Salt Lake City is a definitely a booming area for technology. And then from there, it's kind of case by case, and it depends on what you're looking for in like not only your work, but where you want to live and kind of what, do you want snow or not? Vegas too. No, Vegas is another great area to invest in. A lot of co-location centers are based out of Arizona or Nevada just because of the weather, and there's no like frigid cold usually in the areas that you put your co-location. There's no tornadoes or earthquakes, so that tends to be a value for a lot of companies.
So
Yeah, thanks.
I'm glad to hear our degree is still worth something. I was worried that people was saying that college is old fashioned and just learn it on your own and we'll hire you, and forget that
No,
expensive
it's
degree.
definitely not the case. And we're a very conservative company too. We really still value people getting educated because it's, and I will say it's not just the piece of paper, it is who you know as well. So you want to network it really well within the scope of what you can do in college, and then make that piece of paper shine.
Yeah.
with what you're actually doing for work, and you'll be just fine. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, let me give you a sales pitch at GCU. You mentioned
Yeah.
earlier that computer science is kind of like the standard, right? So we have a computer science degree, but what you're looking at here are students in what we call our software development degree, and you're going to find that everyone graduates here with a full stack in Java Spring, C Sharp Net.
Hmm.
They're going to have React and Angular. They're going to have Mongo. They're going to have Postgres. They're going to have Agile practices. So it's like you have a 3-year experience coming out of students that normally have calculus and algorithms and the computer sciencey curriculum. We're trying to target it
Hmm.
so that they have those things that you find on resumes that you're trying to pick up. So you might want to check out some of the degree programs here at GCU. They're different.
I've seen, yeah, some cool advertising from GCU, and man, it looks like you guys do a lot of good work there. So again, I don't know as much. I know it's a private university in Phoenix, but again, you're getting there, by doing what you're doing right now. You're paving the way for your future. Just do everything you can to get your hands on with coding in a real live environment, not just in the sandbox.
Well, hey, thank you, John. This was great information. You've given us some insights of what your world looks like, and you're close to the job market. So
Yeah, thanks.
we're going to take your word for it on following these good practices.